telling you I've been in Congress, busy writing legislation, but I think I can still write some lyrics. So here we go. This Kamala campaign kicked off with a bang, exceeding expectations. She out here doing her thing, breaking records like pottery, doing numbers like lottery. Harris Walls is the ticket, and this ticket's so gifted, getting people uplifted. Simone Biles, how we stick it. You see this black girl magic, but we don't have to trick it. Ain't no hocus pocus, we lazy focus. They wanna hold us back. Can't have the hard work and smart people who happen to be black. Went from DA to AG, from senator to VP. No mystery, she makes history on a pathway to victory. She ain't new to this, she true to this. Gonna show the whole world how she do this, making MAGA misfits furious. So we still gotta take them serious. She gonna prosecute this case. Told him, say it to my face. You confused about her heritage? Be clear about this race. It's a black woman in it, and she's on trend to win it. It's gonna take a lot of work, but that's how we always get it. Get it? Money, check. Message, check. Movement, check. Y'all about to get wrecked, and the whole world's gonna witness how she stands on business. And we're about to test out Trump's mental fitness. Kamala for the people versus Donald J. Trump, and the guy who reminisces about the couches he humped. It's a tangerine man and a boy with a beard who gets sexual with sectionals. It's beyond weird. You insurrection supporters and election deniers. How dare you call my VP a DEI hire? But she definitely earned it. So maybe you're right, because she didn't get here being average male or white. Now we know your type, and I'm just stating the facts. Being racist and sexist is how they choose to attack. But we've seen this all before, so we ain't falling for that. Cause when we vote, we win, and we're not going back. Oh yeah, you heard the crowd chanting. Got the ops in a panic. Oh yeah, they big mad, humongous, colossal, gigantic. We can't take this for granted, so we gotta go vote, because our freedom's on the line, and this ain't no joke. So understand the assignment. Voting is the requirement to save our environment. Can't afford to be silent. Your vote is your voice. Harris Walls is the choice, and we need the House and the Senate. So don't forget to vote Democrat up and down your ticket.
Seeing a lot of black folks online talking about Kamala Harris's tax plan. It's not going to work for me. I don't want my taxes to be raised. And then I saw my homie from high school, who's I know is a truck driver, saying the same thing. And so I want to make something clear, because politics can be difficult. If you've ever had to do this, if you do that to get the last little bit of lotion, you don't have to worry about Kamala Harris's tax plan. You don't have to worry about it. That's just not for you. Unrealized capital gains over $100 million is what she wants to be taxed. Do you have $100 million? You don't have $100 million. Specifically to that friend, I know you don't have $100 million because you don't have a bed frame or a bedstand. So instead of running from Kamala, maybe you should be running to Kamala. Kamala Harris wants to give a $6,000 tax credit to folks with newborns, and you got like 3 baby mamas. You know who you are. You know who I'm talking to. But that's like a good rule of thumb. You know what I'm saying? If you ever put water in the dishwashing detergent and shuck it up like that so you can get more, you don't gotta worry about Kamala Harris tax plan. You don't gotta worry about that. You good. Don't worry about it. I'm seeing a lot.
Oh boy, I think it comes down to what Power 96 said, AKA versus KKK. And if you missed, and look, if you missed Trump's latest rally, they just said, you know what, forget it. We're just gonna show. They was out in full KKK garb, literally in full KKK garb. I think Power 96 actually sent me Greer as well, but I think Power 96 also sent me a video of them and someone in KKK garb at one of Trump's rallies. They just went full KKK. There it is, right there. They just said, you know what? We might as well. You got to respect it, right? You got to respect it. We'll show you who we are. You got to respect it. At least you know. At least you know. And what my man was saying there in that clip there. First of all, I mean the whole that young lady with the rap. We have entered a new dimension, not only of sight and sound, but of mind with this political stuff now. But homeboy who he's 100% right. Um, and I didn't. We talk about this a lot. Folks folks are even today too lazy to even Google um important stuff anyway. I mean, they might Google OnlyFans or something, see who's on OnlyFans or whatever. Let me find somebody I know on OnlyFans. But anyway, that's beside the point. But they don't. I was talking to somebody I've known pretty much all my life. Um, this was 2 days ago, Saturday. And I was listening, we were talking, and then he started talking about the draft. And first of all, there's no draft. The law has been and is, you have to register in case there's a draft. You have to register at 18 if you're a male. And I think they're working on something with females too. I don't know if that legislation passed or not. But nonetheless, then he said, um, yeah, he says, I don't know because these immigrants, man, these illegals. He didn't say immigrants. These illegals, they're coming in, they're getting all these government benefits, they taking all of the jobs. I'm like, hold up, time out. First and foremost, because you just said they're illegals, and this is what Trump's people and the MAGA people keep saying and keep feeding you and feeding you and feeding you. No illegal alien, no illegal immigrant. Nobody illegal is they're not taking jobs. And so that whole black jobs thing, see, he wants you to believe, and people want you to believe that black jobs are menial. They're the ones you cleaning up the street or you plunging someone's toilet. Um and these immigrants who come in illegally or legally, but mostly let's just keep it to illegal. These are the type of jobs that they do, yes. They will take on these jobs because they're here for the most part. Most of them come here because where they at is so oppressive. Where they at, there's no future they feel. And they come over here. They fly under the radar as much as possible. They're not they're not registering for government benefits. They're not getting government benefits because they are flying under the radar. They don't want to be found. They don't want people to know that they are here. They don't want the government of all people to know that they're here. So they're not taking jobs. And here's the thing, black man, these are not the jobs you want anyway. They wouldn't be available if you wanted them. And I just remember living in Los Angeles. I always call it a 7-year sentence when I lived out there in Southern California, particularly the Valley. Um, you had mostly illegal folks in from like Mexico because Mexico is right there. And they would do this. They would underpaths and everything on freeways or certain corners. They'd wait. It would be a bunch of them, probably about 50 to 100 of them, and they're waiting to be picked up for a job, for a day job or something. Most people who are moving, you moving, you got a new house or new apartment or whatever. You go, you pick 3 or 4 of them, and you get a U-Haul and they do all the heavy lifting for you. You pay them. I don't I don't ever remember seeing a black person in that crowd of 50 to 100 waiting to be picked up to get some sort of work. So this whole idea that they are taking jobs It's ridiculous. This idea that they're getting all these government benefits that black people can't get is absolutely absurd. It's stuff that you've heard MAGA folks say that is just not true. You hear a lie long enough and you start to believe it unless you fact check it. And we are in the era of no fact checking whatsoever, even by mainstream media. We've seen it over and over and over again. But y'all need to stop falling victim to the nonsense. And a part of that, look, once again, I will never get involved in telling people vote for this person, vote for that person, don't vote for this person. But what it is these pathetic excuses from particularly black males not to support a black woman. That's the bottom line. They just can't see it. They cannot see it. I'd rather have in their minds a racist old white man dictating what I can and cannot do than have a an accomplished black woman making life trying to make life as easy as possible for everybody. It's just ridiculous. Um, up until recently, up until the last few months, I mean, I paid very little attention to Luther Campbell, but he's the one out there making all the sense. He's making all this. He and D.L. Hughley making all the sense. Um, Mike V says, so the people seeking asylum, sleeping on gym mats in shelters, eating cold packed lunches, are taking opportunities away from black men. Right. Exactly, Mike. That's exactly what I'm saying. Power 96 says those are better, bitter black males. They are scared of black women in power. I am not. I mean, most men, black, white, whatever, that term mama's boy or whatever. Um, most males just tend to be protective of their mothers as females are of their fathers. I got a house full of females. um, but so this is so unnatural. They've gone so unnatural with this nonsense. And then when you see and they talk about raising taxes. I love the point he makes with the raising taxes and lotion thing. How many of us that last bit of lotion? But the idea that somehow her raising taxes, most of you don't even pay taxes. You pay taxes, and this is the homeboy was saying to me the other day about, yeah, she want to raise my taxes. Um, so let's get something straight. What, for the most part, when you're talking about taxes, for the most part, people are talking about property taxes. And let's face it, with all of the racism, with all of the with the way this appraisals and loans and all that, black black folks, we don't really own places. We don't own anything to be taxed. That's the thing. We ride around with a $700 car note, in some cases paying more in the car note than we paying in our rent. Let's be real. And she's actually talking about policies to try and flip that for you. The Biden-Harris administration has put forth policy after policy to try and flip that. The black unemployment rate is at the lowest in the history of this country. And that's due to their policies. The wealth gap, though still far apart, and these almost 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration has shrunk some for the first time it didn't shrink under Obama. It definitely didn't shrink under Trump. It grew under Trump. So let's be real. Y'all gotta come on. I hate to be the one to have to talk about this crazy stuff, but you see it, and you have to. In this business, if you are anything worth your salt, you have to call it out. Social media could be such a great resource, a great tool, but of course, it is used for evil. It is evil. And Shopbound says that's the way we get the leftovers. We don't pay our nothing to pay property taxes, and we always say ain't nothing happening. Um, eh, yeah, some black men have become surrogates for white nationalists and white male grievance. Exactly, 100%, 100%, and they wear that with a badge of honor for some reason. Um,
And so my wife, she does a lot of this for me because before we had kids, she was an RN, and she knows a lot more than I do. And I let her read those books. She read some medical books, yeah. And so she's doing the research and looking at these things, and she shows me two doctors, both of this within the same practice, same company, hospital, and saying, do you like one over the other? And one was a young white dude, and one was a young black dude. And I said, I prefer the young white dude. And this is why. The reason why is not because I'm white, but because we currently live in a historical moment in the West, and particularly in these United States, where I know that both of these guys could be perfectly qualified. But I also know that if there's a chance that one of them was not qualified and was given a free pass, it'd be the black guy. I know that young white guy, there's no way he got a free pass. I moved to Texas. I needed to get a new cardiologist.
He's not comfortable. He sits there and says that, which is absolutely the opposite is absolutely true. If that black cardiologist, if there's two of them, come on, let's be real. It doesn't take much brain power. When you see these two and they got the same credentials, that black guy did more to earn that than that white guy, without question. That's the way it's set up. There's nothing against nothing. I'm certainly not a racist person. Nothing against white folk on that. But let's face it, with all the obstacles, that black guy earned it. Again, it always takes me back when I see stupidity like that, to an episode of The Jeffersons when George saved the life of the Grand Wizard of the KKK, and the son was so appreciative. But then when the guy he saved the life, the father, he saved his life. When they told him it was George who saved it, he said he should have let me die. They'd rather die on that operating table with a white surgeon than have a black surgeon who could save their life. So it's just it is just absolutely absurd. And it's absurd that, again, hate to get into all this voting stuff or whatever, but it's absurd. It tells you everything you know about America that Trump even has a chance to win the election. Tells you everything you need to know. Republican lawmakers, speaking of Trump, are being urged by Trump to shut down the government after 6 weeks. They was off for 6 weeks, and then they come back. This is the thing that uh, the American public is just as responsible in some things as the lawmakers themselves. Because these guys off 6 weeks, they come back, and now they got 2.5 weeks before they shut down again, before they go on recess again. But they got a deadline coming up in 2.5 weeks to fund the government for the rest of the year. And Trump is ordering them to let the government shut down. Now, it is highly unlikely that this time that MAGA Mike, the speaker, Johnson, is going to do what he's supposed to do and do a deal to stop a government shutdown. Because again, this is what 100% that Donald Trump wants you to suffer for him to gain. Now, if I'm in a relationship with somebody or supporting somebody and all they want is me to suffer so they can gain, that come on, when is the breakup coming? It's like Hakeem Jeffries gave that illustration of the bad boyfriend that you're trying to break up with. It's absolutely absurd. So they have a deadline, September 30th, to fund the government. We've been here before. This time, though, you can totally expect them to 100% listen to their MAGA chief. And they want to tie um, some sort of voting legislation, voter suppression legislation to a bill to keep the government open. And Democrats are saying, "Well, we're not doing that." Because Donald Trump over the weekend has come out and said that he's going to, if he's elected, he's going to prosecute election workers, election officials, even politicians and others, essentially, if they support Kamala Harris. There you have it. There you have it. Um, Florida voters who signed a petition to place a pro-choice abortion referendum on the ballot this November say they have been visited by the police who are investigating claims of fraud at the behest of Governor Ron DeSantis' administration. The Tampa Bay Times reported that a Republican signed into a law a ban on abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy, and in response, pro-choice campaigners gathered and submitted nearly 1 million signatures to place on the ballot amendment. It's called Ballot Amendment 4, a referendum that would overturn the ban and restore reproductive rights in the states. Now, Florida's Department of State is claiming it suspects fraud in the signature gathering process. So they now have police visiting the homes of these folks. It's this, but again, um, so these hateful, disgusting uh, governors and lawmakers, they're only they're only allowed to do this because you got disgusting, hateful people who are putting them there. And that's the bottom line. Also today, jury selection is scheduled to begin in the federal trial of 3 former Memphis officers charged with violating the civil rights of Tyree Nichols. Remember Tyree Nichols, the 29-year-old black man whose fatal beating was caught on police cameras. Um, it was Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith who've all pleaded not guilty to charges that they deprived him of his rights through excessive force and failure to intervene and obstructed justice through witness tampering. Tyree was pulled over in his car in January of 2023, and he ran from police after he was yanked out of the vehicle. Yeah, I remember all of that. It was just disgusting what the officers did to him. They were a part of that squad. What was that? Uh, Whatever. And yeah, it's the Scorpion Unit. And then they disbanded it after they killed Tyree Nichols. Um, we're gonna get to in a moment what happened outside of the stadium in Miami, um, which was absolutely horrendous yesterday before the opening game with the Miami Dolphins. But first, a suburban Detroit judge is no longer handling cases after a court official turned over recordings of her making anti-gay insults and referring to black people as lazy. Oakland County probate judge Kathleen Ryan was removed from her docket for unspecified misconduct. Now the court's administration has stepped forward to say he blew the whistle on her secretly recording their phone calls. He says, I just want to make it right. I want to keep my job and do it in peace. This is Edward Hutton who blew the whistle. He says, I want the people in Oakland County that come to court to get a fair shake, to have their day in court, to have an unbiased trier of fact. Probate judges in Michigan, by the way, they handle things like wills and estates, guardianships, and cases that involve the state's mental health laws. In that phone recording, this judge uses anti-gay slur against David Coulter, the county's highest elected official who is gay. She also refers to Black people as lazy. She says, and this is the key. This is the kicker, I should say. She says, quote, I'm not systemically racist. I'm a new racist. This is what she says on tape. This, but this is, this is not just her. This is not just her. And this is too many of them wearing those black robes. They might as well have on the white robes of the Klan that we showed you earlier. Power 96 says, before a Black person thinks about committing a crime, they should listen to that recording of the judge. And that's my point. Timothy Williams says it takes people too long to step up. But going back to that, we must at all costs, and many times it's not just it's not we don't provoke it, but we gotta at all costs stay out of the crosshairs of law enforcement, on the front end with the cops, and certainly on the other end with prosecutors and judges. None of them are your friends. We talked about the school shootings. It's unbelievable that we sit here and we talk about all of this stuff and nothing being done. 2 days after that wild, deadly, what is it? What, how you say that name? Apalachee High School shooting in Georgia. Another gun-related incident happened in Joppatowne, Maryland, Joppatowne High School. The Harford County Sheriff's Office officially identified the 16-year-old shooting suspect there as Jalen Rashawn Prince. The shooting at the county school left 15-year-old Warren Curtis Grant dead, and authorities have taken Prince into custody. The New York Times reports that the incident occurred shortly after noon on Friday. It happened inside a restroom at Joppatowne High School. Harford County Sheriff Jeff Galler said the school resource officer and principal broke up a fight in the bathroom. But then Fox Baltimore says Prince shot Warren Grant with a single round. Guns. How's the guns getting into the school so frequently? Prince eventually fled the school, but was later captured. They found him at an apartment. They say they haven't recovered the weapon yet. School nurses treated William Curtis Grant before airlifting him to Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore. However, doctors pronounced him dead after the transfer. Sheriff Gala told the New York Times that he felt disappointed, especially after the shooting at Apalachee High School. The Harford County Sheriff's Office said in the press release, citizens did call the Emergency Operations Center to report a suspicious person trying to break into a home. And when deputies arrived, excuse me, they quickly arrested Jalen Prince at around 12:50 p.m. They're charging Prince with, as an adult, for murder, first and second degree assault, and using a firearm during a violent felony. These school shootings, they continue. Excuse me, they continue, and it's interesting here that this was a fight and a one-on-one situation. So this is not one of the typical I'm going to shoot up the school type things. This was just a fight that one young guy decides to pull out a weapon, and at 16 years old, he takes another teenager's life, and really his life is now over as he knew it, ruining two families. And could you? I mean, just imagine, 2 days after that mass shooting at the other school in Georgia, where two teachers and two students died and 9 others were wounded. Um, Getting that call, the police getting that call, the parents getting that call, teachers and other students perhaps hearing the gunshot, knowing that there was a gun fired off in the school. And so, no, I think in this case, both the victim and the perpetrator are black, Cheryl. She's asking him, she says, I have to ask, was he white? Timothy Williams says that was with a question mark, though. She's saying that was revenge on a bully shooting. Um, don't know. What we do know is, at least from the reports from the school personnel, that it was a fight. Whether or not bullying was involved, I don't know. There's been nothing in the not particularly not in the press release issued by the sheriff department. So um, I guess more information will come out. Um, but bullying, it still should not lead to any type of weapons being used. But bullying certainly has to stop. I thought by now anyway, most schools, if not all, have strict anti-bullying policies. But this was wow. I mean, just it's only a few miles from Baltimore where this happened, and this just continues to once again. And this one, we don't even get thoughts and prayers on this one. We didn't even hear lawmakers say thoughts and prayers for this one. They just given up now on the thoughts and prayers and just say, hey, let me just keep my mouth shut and take my check from the NRA and these other gun lobbyists. Because as I said before, these school shootings, not just the perpetrators, not just in the case of the Georgia shooting with the father, not just some of the parents with the bloods on their hands too. It is these Congress people, particularly and I'm gonna say it. Look, it's not choosing one side or the other, but it's just facts. Particularly the GOP. They're the ones. There are some Democrats who are guilty too, but overwhelmingly, these right wingers, they continue to get rich from these gun folks, and so they turn a blind eye, refuse to do any type of legislation to protect the vulnerable, protect the kids. My wife pointed this out too, and it's so true. You go into any government building, you can't. You're searched, right? You can't bring weapons into a government building. And I told her even one better, when officers go into government buildings, when they go into courts, even when they go into jails, they have to check their guns and they have to put it in the locker. But yet, the only thing that schools are worried about is making sure the kids' cell phones are checked into lockers. The lack of care for kids in this country, perhaps in the world, but I can only speak for this country, is absolutely pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. There used to be this thought of protecting children. This is like seniors in this country. There's no more respect or protection for seniors. You hear the MAGA folks, those politicians, they want to take away the lifeline to these seniors. They want to take away Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. And yeah, Cheryl, it is. These shootings are now just normalized. Oh, yeah, school shooting. Yeah, oh yeah, that jerk down in North Carolina, the lieutenant governor made fun of it. How do you make fun of a school shooting? Laughed at it. I mean, give me a break. These are kids. The fact that one kid decided that life was a video game, and now I'm sure realizes that those 4 people he killed, those 2 students and 2 teachers, unlike the video game, they're not they're dead. They're not gonna rise up tomorrow. So, Tyreke Hill, this is absolutely insane. You have to see the video. Miami Dolphins, Tyreke Hill. Um, this is a minor traffic violation. And this is not just us saying it's a minor traffic violation. Miami police, Miami-Dade, they said it was a minor traffic stop. So they have him face down on the pavement, handcuffing him. They even handcuffed his teammate who came over to say, "Hey, everything all right?" They handcuffed his teammate. And at one point, if we roll the tape, as Mr. Durrett says, driving while black, another officer, they brought him back to his feet, and he's handcuffed, and the other officer appears to kick him back down. And this is right. He's headed to the game. The stadium is right in the background. And I'm not saying he should have gotten any special treatment because he's an athlete. He's a Miami Dolphins player. No, I don't think athletes should get special treatment. I don't think entertainers should get special treatment. But what I'm saying is that this was a minor traffic stop. This was and they don't even say what the violation was. Was it tinted windows? I don't know. It's Florida. I think you can have tinted windows. Did he fail to signal? That's what it sounds like. And to assault this guy, what amazed me is the passerbys who knew exactly who he was. Football players, there's the one sport that many of these guys, if I see them in the street, I wouldn't know them. Baseball, basketball, those guys. But many of the passerbys, oh, that's Tyreke Hill. That's Tyreke Hill. But so they have placed one of the officers on administrative leave right now. But I guess we don't have the angle in which we can see him appears to kick Tyreke down again. And remember that golfer a couple months ago who dragged the police officer with his car? They didn't beat him down. And then they dropped the charges against him. Scottie Schelfler. It's so obvious what this was about. Power 86 says next time Tyreke will not be so lucky. A lot of black people lose their life in that situation. Cops in that situation will claim they fear for their life. And Mr. Durrett says this is why Cap took a knee. But they have placed and they don't name the officer, and that's the other problem I have with this. Name him. We know who Tyreke is. We know what you did to him. Name the officer. But here it says that the officer has been. Statement says, following the incident involving Tyreke Hill, I have initiated an internal affairs investigation to ensure a thorough review of the matter. One of the officers involved in the incident has been placed on administrative duties while the investigation is conducted. This is the sheriff. Oh no, this is the director, the Miami-Dade Police Department Director, Stephanie Daniels. Stephanie says that I'm committed to transparency and accountability to the community with any situation involving my officers. The mayor of Miami-Dade, Daniela Levine, praised the quote immediate steps taken by the police department in the aftermath of the incident. Daniela says, in recent years, our nation has confronted important conversations on the use of force, and the internal review process will answer questions about why the troubling actions shown in public video footage were taken by the officer. Yeah, we all know how that goes, right? We have investigated ourselves and we found we've done nothing wrong, right? What was interesting is Tyreke scored a touchdown during yesterday's game, and the celebration, well, was his teammate putting him, pretending to put him in handcuffs. But I tell you what, I know Tyreke has Timothy says, "Mayor, you lying?" And there's a shot after the touchdown celebration. Tyreke has a what $65 million contract or something like that, but he's about to get richer, right? He should be at the expense of Miami-Dade. But placing somebody face down is like 5 or 6 officers for a minor, what the officers characterize as a minor traffic stop. This, I mean, come on. How ridiculous is that? And this is just before, I mean, he's reporting for the game. And we know how crazy Florida is. Yeah, I mean, others, especially the South, Florida, Alabama, places like that, but are about football. And Miami, in particular, loves their Dolphins. I mean, it's like win, lose, or whatever. And you have their star player being handled like this over a minor traffic stop. And I forget the name of the player who, and right, I agree. Tyreke should demand the officer be fired, or they trade him. Yeah, I think if he did that, you'd see some quick action because the Dolphins are not about to trade him, and I'm sure that Dolphin ownership wields a great deal of influence in Miami-Dade. Very much so. Tyreke should take a knee, says Timothy. He took a knee unwillingly, but this is the behavior that we've seen far too often, and it usually ends a lot worse than what happened. But um, the fact that, and I forget, like I said, I forget the name of the teammate, but the fact that they, she said wrong knee, they also handcuffed a teammate who simply saw what was happening, approached one of the officers and said, "Hey, is everything okay?" And I get that when there is a police situation, traffic stop, whatever, there's a certain boundary you can't cross, even if it's your loved one or whatever. They don't want you within. But from what it was explained, the teammate simply approached an officer on the side, and they put him in handcuffs. I suppose threatening to charge him with the interference of an official police matter.
Like from your view.
Yeah, actually, they put handcuffs on me too, and I was like, what is going on? I mean, I didn't understand what the cop was, what the issue was. For him to put handcuffs on me, I felt some kind of way, but that just goes to show our resilience. So we didn't let that stop us. We just got back in line, got focused again, and went out there and played a good football game. But that definitely was an interesting way to start a ball game.
Absolutely. They put handcuffs on you.
Yes.
So how did that feel? Like, how did you manage your emotions of that moment and then still come out here and do what you did?
Yeah, that was the first. Being 17 years in this game, I don't really see it on the first, but I saw Tyreke, getting apprehended. I just wanted to make sure everything was okay, trying to de-escalate the situation. Officer felt some kind of way, put handcuffs on me, and then, I just told myself, like, hey, don't let this get you down. Just keep focused, stay locked in, and just do what you know you're prepared to do so you go here and win a ball game.
Absolutely. As you guys start 1-0 and go to Thursday for the Bills, what is your mindset?
See, and what he said there is so important. Like, pretty much, you have to keep as much as you can in a situation like that. You have to keep your cool. You have to chill out as much as you can. Because they look for reasons to escalate, and then they charge you. They're the ones escalating, and then they charge you with resisting and all that, whatever they can throw at you. Yeah. Yeah, and she's right. I mean, black men have to do that. It's just ridiculous. And nothing is done. And and you got these black guys out here talking nonsense on social media. Phew. Mm. He said, Power 96 says, remember the Ali Summit when black athletes stood together and fought for change. I wouldn't play another down until that cop is fired. And so that too, that too. And it's the constant harassment. Greer's right. The constant harassment. It hasn't stopped since it hasn't stopped. It's never stopped. And folks, again, I talked about this not long ago. This presumption of innocence. You got to restore that, and it starts really with all of us who want to put stuff on social media. And speaking of that, before I get into our other topic, I got Austin sent this morning this. It must be about 8 to 10,000 word article from the New York Times about Prince in a documentary that may or may not see the light of day. But it starts off with Jill Jones. Now, Jill Jones had not been a part of Prince's circle since probably 1984. And Jill Jones becomes the first and only person that I've ever heard make this allegation that Prince assaulted her, not sexually assaulted, but punched her in the face, et cetera, et cetera. And I guess his sister is a part of this situation. And at the time, according to the article, she was Prince's sister was heavily on drugs, et cetera, et cetera. So, so there's not a credible person around at the time to account for what may or may not happen in this hotel lobby. But from the writing, it sounded like some woman, a friend of Jill Jones, walked in and Prince took a liking to her or whatever. And she says they tussled her because Jill slapped them, and Prince started kissing the friend, and in a fit of jealousy, Jill slapped him and allegedly punched her. But you're not going to, New York Times, distort the image of Prince. We're not going to allow for that. Jill Jones hasn't, again, this has never been alleged, ever. Alan Leeds has never talked about, and Alan Leeds is like have always been a very close confidant of Prince. We've had Mark Brown Mark, a couple of times on Let It Be Known, and we've talked about things with Jerome. Nobody has ever said he was violent toward women. Now, we know from Purple Rain, which was a sort of autobiography, but not really, with the father. We know that there was a tumultuous relationship between his mom and dad, and we know that he loved his dad. His dad wrote some songs for him. When Prince filmed the movie Under the Cherry Moon, his dad went with him to France. But they're alleging that Prince's dad would abuse him, physically abuse him, and so they're kind of trying to tie it to Jill Jones's alleged getting punched in the face. Now, all the great things about, you've never heard this man father kids for multiple women. You've never heard him allegedly sexually assault anyone, right? Like you do so many others. The drugs wasn't a part of his thing, and I mean he died from a fentanyl overdose, which caught even those closest to him off guard. But the doctors were prescribing this to him, and he took too much. So we're just not going to do this. Power 96 says Jill Jones can go have a seat next to a dumpster. Leave Prince alone. I was rocking Prince's this past weekend at my cookout. See, that's the type of cookout I need to be invited to, Power 96. But come on. And I know people say you don't bring the same smoke with the Michael Jackson situation. Well, Michael was alive to face these allegations. His allegations. He was alive. He went to court. Here we are, what, 8 years after Prince's death? And now you want to try and do a documentary? Give me a break. And right, Maite, not even his ex-wife said anything about him being physically abusive. They just could not make it after their child died. It just tore them apart. There's never been one word, and as much as like Sheila E. in her situation, who will probably tell you to this day that if she had the chance, she'd marry him. I mean, there was Apollonia, there's Vanity, and Vanity turned into this before she died, turned into this very religious person. Cena Easton. I mean, we can go on and on and on. Preacher. Vanity was a preacher, girl says. And now to apparently try and sell a documentary, we want to come up with this? Are you kidding me? We're just not going to allow that, to let it be known. Just not going to allow it. And those folks who are overseeing his estate, well, listen, I did a story last week about the guy overseeing Michael Jackson's estate, John Branca, and the incredible job he's done. $2 billion in ticket sales since Michael's death. et cetera, et cetera. They need to call John Branca and have him take over Prince's estate. That's what they need to do. Folks, Angel Reese's historic rookie season is over. The Chicago Sky forward said on social media that she has a season-ending injury, which the team confirmed was to her wrist. She says, "What a year! I never would have imagined the last bucket of my rookie season would be a three, but maybe that was God saying, give them a taste of what they will be seeing more of in year two. Through it all, I have showed that I belong in this league, even when no one else believed. All I have ever wanted was to come into the W and make an impact. I can confidently say I've done that and will strive to keep doing so." She was the number 7 pick in the draft, and she finished the season averaging 13.6 points a game and 13.1 rebounds. It's the highest rebound average in the history of the WNBA. She also set the rookie record with 26 double doubles, her last coming in a 92-78 win over Los Angeles this past Friday. The rookie of the year in my book, regardless of what they do uh, in a couple of weeks from now, or a few weeks from now, when they formally name the rookie of the year, the most impactful, the best rookie in the WNBA. And it's not, like we talked earlier about black guys and their some black guys and their desire not to support black women. I mean, you see that with some of these folks who cover sports or who pretend to cover sports, who used to play sports, Charles Barkley. Um, and they go against Angel. They say, "Oh, we're not against her. We just speaking the truth." And this idea that she grabs a lot of her own misses. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. The fact, look, if you're gonna miss a shot, you'd want to follow it, and that's the problem with today's NBA. You don't see nobody following their shots. That used to be the thing. Follow your shot, because if it's miss, at least you can try and get in position to rebound. And so Angel Reese is, I guess you could say, she's old school. You can say what you want. Just say she's the WNBA's Rookie of the Year. Folks, we're going to be in DC this week, all week. Tomorrow is the debate, of course. Wednesday and Thursday, we will be going live at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Wednesday and Thursday. I don't know, Greer, if it's going to be Friday as well. I don't think it's going to be Friday. But yes, Thomas Patterson, Moses Malone, follow all his shots. Exactly. Missed that type of play. But we're going to be live going at 9 a.m. from the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation's annual legislative conference at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center in D.C. And of course, Thursday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, is the NMPA's annual National Leadership Awards reception, September 12th, saluting excellence and leadership. Come on down, join us, go get a ticket. It doesn't cost you anything this time. But join us on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. A nice awards ceremony. Is always food and beverage and association and music. The house band, good times. We're gonna have a good time as always. It's gonna be at the Conrad Hilton. That's, I should mention that our event will be at the Conrad Hilton at 7 p.m. Eastern. So come and join us Thursday night, and join us on Wednesday and Thursday at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, not 7:30, 9 o'clock. We look forward to seeing you all. And as I said, I know David Youngblood will probably come down. We're trying to bait Power 96 to, because the Red Bone is going to be there. I'm sure she'll be looking for him. So we will be there all day broadcasting from the Walter E. Washington Convention Center. We'll see you then, and we will see you tomorrow at 7:30 though. Okay. Thanks for joining us. See you then.